We are like,
Okay, good evening and welcome to another session of Startup Buzz. Thursday, 5 p.m., 57th session in a row. Not easy. Ravi and me are trying very hard to get exciting founders, exciting VCs, and everyone connected to startup ecosystem. I don't think, Ravi, we have repeated any topic. Certainly not the one which is there this evening. Solving problems hiding in plain sight. So 57 sessions in a row. Remember, every Thursday 5 p.m. Startup Buzz is actually a weekly startup dose, not a buzz. It's something which you should always have it. And another interesting note, at CII, we are at Western Region. We have started a project of mentoring. So have a look at the social media of Western Region. Here's a chance to apply for mentoring to very, very special people within CII. With those few words and without any further ado, I will hand over the proceedings to Ravi. Thank you.
Thank you, Ninad, and good evening, everyone. Yet again, I'm Ravikant Sabnavis. I'm the co-chair of the startup subcommittee for the CII Western Region, of which Ninad, who just spoke, is the chair. And I'm also run operating startup advisory called Daily Roti, where I work with young companies and help them grow. But the spotlight this evening is, on the gentleman who's on your screen. That's Utkarsh Murari. He is the co-founder and CEO of PiePay. If you know what PiePay is, it is actually a platform that allows online shoppers to avail card-linked benefits without actually owning, that particular card. Uh, that's incredulous. And I was quite flummoxed, and to tell us more about what PiePay does, how the idea started. I'm going to request Utkarsh to tell us more about himself. But I have to warn you, Utkarsh. I have a bunch of questions. At some point in time, I worry you'll say, "Look, this sounds like an FAQ."
That's okay. That's all right. I mean, that happens when you are building a new category or something of that sort, right? So,
Absolutely. But Utkarsh, tell us, more about what PiePay is before I start firing off the questions.
all right, Ravi. And thanks for the introduction, first of all. Right. So, hello, everyone. I am Utkarsh. I am the co founder of PiePay. And I have graduated from IIT Madras in 2020. And post that, I have worked as an analyst at HSBC for about 3 years. And that's towards the end of my stint at HSBC, I started building PiePay. So, yeah, let me tell you what PiePay is first. Right. So, all of you must have faced this. You go to your favorite e-commerce platform, you find a good product with a great deal. You go to checkout, but alas, you realize that offer is not available on your card. And this is the story of millions of shoppers today. Well, not anymore, thanks to PayPay. So we let online shoppers avail card-linked discounts even without owning the card by connecting them with a network of card holders, those who are registered with us. For example, let's say there is a product worth rupees 10,000 listed on an e-commerce platform. Okay, and there is a 1,000 rupees discount on a certain card. Now you do not have the card to avail that offer, so you come to PayPay. We tell you, why don't you pay us 9,400, right? And thereby you could save rupees 600. You say all right, okay, and then we allow one of our card holders to execute the payment on your behalf to the e-commerce. So how much does the card holder pay? They pay 9,000. Why? Because they have the card on which the offer was applicable, and once they pay, your product gets ordered at the discounted price, and after the return window of the product is over, we reimburse to the car holder 9,000 that they had paid for plus 200 as their commission. So out of 9,400 that we collect from you, right, we pay 9,200 to the card holder, and in the process we earn a neat sum of rupees 200 on the transaction. So this is like a win-win for buyer, car holder, and PiePay. So this is what we are building at PiePay.
Awesome. And you've explained that in such a simple way, Utkarsh, and I'm sure there is so much of complexity behind
Of
to be
course.
able to make it so simple for the consumer, right?
Mhm.
But let's start at the beginning, Utkarsh. I want to know that when that aha moment happened. Look, I've heard stories about how that spark for PiePay happened when there was a personal pain point. You missed out on a big discount somewhere, because you obviously didn't have the right card. So, take us back to that day, when that exact realization happened, and when did you think that this could actually be a scalable startup than just a, one-off frustration that many of us go through, right? Millions of
Mhm.
us go through.
Right. So, to be honest, it was not a one-off frustration for me, and so there were several instances when similar thing happened with me, and I could see my friends regularly asking for credit cards, right? And on one similar occasion, I had to buy a laptop, right? And the laptop was priced at 80,000 rupees on Amazon, and I could see that if I had ICICI Bank's credit card, I could get the same laptop at 70,000 rupees. So that could fetch me a discount of 10,000 rupees, which was huge for me back then, and it still is, right? So I asked my friends whether they had this particular card, but none of them had this particular variant, right? So because the discount was huge, right? I joined some social media group. It was a Facebook group in which I posted my requirement. So this is the kind of group in which deals of these kinds happen, right? I was immediately, connected with a card holder. So card holder, they asked me for my personal details like my phone number or my address, so that they could place the order using their own e-commerce account at my address, right? So I was like, okay, let's see, right? But then they asked me for some security deposit. So when it came to security deposit, that's when I became skeptical. So I dug deeper into what that group was about, and I could see that there were several instances of people complaining about getting scammed. So when I read that, then I immediately gave up the idea of getting this done through some random Facebook group. So I went back to Amazon and then purchased the laptop for 80,000 rupees. But this incident that felt like a loss of 10,000 rupees to me. So I thought, what if there was a way in which buyer's privacy and cardholder's security could be maintained while executing the transaction, right? So that's when the idea of PiePay was born. So I interviewed some of my friends, then I surveyed in malls as well. So I could understand that, okay, so everybody, everybody sees big offers on e-commerce platforms, but only a few of us are able to actually grab those offers. Why? Because India has a meager 5% penetration of credit cards, right? 95% of shoppers, they just see the offer but are not able to grab them. So I mean, the demand already exists, right? It's just that what's missing is a trusted transaction layer that could connect buyers and cardholders in real time, and that's what we built with PiePay.
How interesting. And so along the way, you realize that, I mean, you also needed a POC, right? It's a great idea. And, you said you experienced where people were taking your details and willing to pay for you, but they wanted a security deposit. And did that then lead you to saying, okay, this is a scalable idea and, there are millions of others there who will benefit from this?
Right. So yeah, I mean, see, the demand already existed, right? I could see my friends asking for cards and all. I was doing the same, right? So in a way, I already had that. Yes, there is a demand, and I just need something to, because these Facebook groups, right? Those are the proof that there is real demand. What's missing is to execute this at scale, right? That's what we tried to ensure when we built PiePay.
Okay, absolutely. And I have a long list of questions, but I can see some very interesting questions coming, on the chat box itself. So I'm going to keep picking them up. Utkarsh, you've been building PiePay for a while now.
Mhm.
Uh, Tell us, what was your single biggest unexpected challenge you faced in, especially in getting those first 100 cardholders? And they need to trust your platform and the buyers as well. So there are actually two different sets of people you're dealing with.
Right.
There is the cardholder who has to trust you. Okay,
Yes.
and there is the buyer as well. So how did you manage to string them together?
Hmm. So honestly, seeding PiePay with initial set of cardholders was relatively easier. Why? Because see, remember the Facebook group I talked about, right? So I befriended the admin of that group, right? And when we actually launched PiePay, so we did a promo on their group. Key, this is what we are building. If you are interested, come and join us. So those cardholders they quickly joined us, and see, it was easier for them to trust us because they already had that behavior, right? They were already doing transactions for others, right? But the real tough thing to solve for was getting money from the buyers, right? Getting people to pay. That was actually tough. I remember when we launched just with mobile as a category, but we quickly realized that people were not like it was not. I mean, people needed some kind of trust in order to put that kind of money in a new startup or a new company, right? So within a matter of a few days, right, we in we did a small ticket size category. We made it live, a small size category, right, through which those buyers they could with which they could try the app first, right? Then we started seeing orders flowing when we integrated a small ticket size category, let's say mobile accessories, right? And from there to this day, like the trust has been growing, and we have seen that people are like as we became as we grew in scale, right? Then we could see that okay, people have started trusting as we went along. So this
Awesome.
was our experience.
And I'm going to ask just one more of
Hmm.
my question before I start picking up more questions from the audience because there are that number is growing. So from a payment perspective, see, I would reckon PiePay actually holds payouts to cardholders. Until the e-commerce platform's return window closes.
Mhm.
So, from a marketplace dynamics perspective, how do you keep the car holders engaged while the credit cards are locked for a few days, for reimbursements and commissions, etc.? How does that work?
Okay. So see, we give them regular updates about the payment that they have done, right? And they can also track the updates about the payment on the app itself, just like you would track a simple order on an e-commerce app, right? There is a timeline. So we also give timeline to the cardholders in which they can track the payments that they have made. And yes, along with that, they can also check for live deals that they can do meanwhile, right? They can do a deal or two and then they can be engaged. See, the thing is, their money is their money is logged on the platform, right? So that is the incentive that they have to come back.
Okay, okay. How interesting. And what are I'm picking up a few questions from the audience. Payments demand extremely high security. What are the key security principles you follow?
Mhm. So see, first of all, the buyers, right? In our flow, they create orders using their own e-commerce account, right? It is us that just execute the payment on behalf of the buyer with the help of a card holder, right? So in the backend, right, tied to that particular order, a secure payment link is generated, which
Uh-huh.
is shared with the card holder. And because it's a secure payment link, that is how we are able to ensure that the buyer's details and the card holder's detail, those are not shared in between the two parties. And that's how we are able to maintain the security of
Mhm.
the entire two-sided marketplace that we have. That is the
And
main.
what happens? Sorry. Please
Yeah,
complete.
please. I was
I was just curious to know, on your back end, the cardholder technically executes the payment on the e-commerce app, and gives them gives them access to the shipping details or order control panels, right? So how does PiePay's technology prevent a cardholder from maliciously rerouting or canceling a buyer's order?
all right. So, like I said, right, it is the buyers it is the buyer who is creating the order through their own e-commerce account. Our technology just separates order creation from payment. So car holder, they execute the payment on buyer's behalf independently through that particular secure payment link, right? And because of that, we are able to maintain buyers, we are able to keep buyers' private details such as mobile or address safe and secure, and car holders' card details are also secure because of this separation between the order creation and payment that we have as technology.
Oh, how interesting. So that means even if, let's say, if a buyer accepts, let's say, an expensive gadget delivery, but falsely claims they received a fake item or an empty box, uh, then how do you sort of take care of that? Who absorbs the financial loss? Is it the platform, the cardholder? Do you rely on, specific insurance partnerships?
Like again, see, because it's the buyer placing the order, right? And our creating the order, our job is just to ensure that their order is placed with the help of
Mm-hmm.
the what happens post that order regarding the shipment, if it is delayed, if they are receiving the right product, those part that is taken care of by the e-commerce, right? Our job is to just get the order placed. So we are essentially an intermediary technology facilitator between buyer and cardholder, right? And we control the orchestration layer and the settlement logic, and we own those risks only.
Mm-hmm. And one question that's come in, at your initial stage, when what were the features that you may have deliberately left out of the app,
All
and
right.
how did you decide on your initial MVP?
Okay. So when we started out, right, our goal was to keep the platform as lean as possible, right? Um, Mostly with just one single action item that was needed to be done on part of our buyers and car holders, right? So when we started out, because our goal was to limit the actions that could be taken, right? We only started off with one platform, which was Flipkart. We only started by listing Flipkart, and in that as well, only one category as mobile, right? Because mobiles are the category in which there are ample card offers, right? But we quickly realized, like I said, that that won't work, because in order for people to trust a new platform, they would need to test it first. They are not going to sort of just trust you just like that, right? So once we added a small ticket size category, we could see that people were trying the app, and because they tried the app, they could gain some trust in the process. So yeah, I mean, just one platform, one single platform, one single category is what we started off with.
Okay.
And we left
And,
everything to figure out when we just move along.
sure,
So
sure.
currently we have Flipkart, Amazon, and Shopsy we have added, and also we all only started with Android. We did not build an iOS app. We have built an iOS app only a few months back. Why? Because what we figured out about our target audience, right? The majority of it to start off would have Android, would own an Android app, right? They would be more interested, they would be more price sensitive, and they would be more interested in like in the value proposition that we had to offer.
And another question is, how are AI and automation influencing your product roadmap?
Hmm. See, nice. So, because we are a marketplace, right? So, the crux of a marketplace is liquidity. We are a two-sided market, right? Buyers and cardholders. The majority of of what we do, the transactions that we process, depends upon how how quickly and we are able to match buyers with cardholders, right? To match the right buyers with right cardholders. So that's the part, and after 2 years of our operation, right, we have more than 1 million proprietary this matchmaking orders data, right? So built our model on top of that. So AI is helping us with that to match a buyer in real time with a card holder who is most likely to execute that particular order in that moment.
And another question, how do you ensure low latency and high availability for payment transactions?
Hmm. So see, because it's been a while us building the platform that we have built, right? So yeah, so we have gathered a lot of data, and like I said, right, we match buyers with car holder, and we have a lot of records on which we have built that model. So through that we ensure that we quickly match a buyer with a car holder within seconds. We have seen that we match within 30 seconds a particular buyer with a car holder. And as for other sorts of latency, right, we have a good tech team who takes care of all that sort of things. So there is that.
Okay. And another question is on your technology and your infra. What parts of your infrastructure are cloud native? What do you manage yourself? Is this something that you uh, can talk about?
See, the entire, like our entire database is cloud native, right? That is one thing, and yeah, like that is what the answer is. If there is
Okay.
more to it, yeah.
And another one, which I was going to ask you, and there's a question here as well, is usually during festive periods when there
Hmm.
are these big sales happening,
Mhm.
you would have sudden spikes in transaction volume.
Right.
So, how do your systems handle that? How have you built it to be able to handle those sudden spikes which may occur when these e-commerce platforms where you are seeing a sudden spike?
Hmm. So from see from the server point of view and all, right, it is fairly an understood problem, right? And that is the same way we handle it. As far as executing the transactions are concerned, right? If that is your question, right? So we have to take, because the sale it is already scheduled, right? So we know beforehand when the rush is about to come, right?
Hmm.
So we beforehand, right, hours before, you can say, we warm up our cardholders, the supply side, right, with notifications, and we incentivize them to be there on the platform when the sale is about to go live. So when the buyers actually are about to place orders when the sale starts, right? So those cardholders are already there on the platform, right? So it's like the same way the Uber manages things, right? So what they do is they pre-position drivers, right, at places where they estimate that there would be more rush when there is a live event or so, right? In the same way we manage it, and the thing is, right, yeah. So that's what it, because
Okay.
we also know what sort of offers are going to be there, right?
Yes.
So we ensure we nudge those card holders with those particular cards, and when the sale starts, we are able to effectively manage it. Rest of the job is done by the matchmaking model that we have, right? So what they would do, they would, for every order that is placed, right, that model finds a few card holders who are most likely to execute the transaction. So
Got it. Got it.
mhm.
And I had a couple of questions on the regulatory aspect, Utkarsh. So now these cardholders who are paying on behalf of your customers, they're pulling massive transaction volumes, and obviously it's their personal PAN cards. And what happens is you are actually seeing heavily inflated metrics on the annual information statement.
Mhm.
So does pay but does when these payments result in these huge this thing in the statement, how does PiePay help them justify the non-personal expenses to the income tax department? Because they could potentially be an unfair tax notice if their spends have spiked up artificially because they're paying on behalf of someone else.
First of all, it's a fair concern, right? But again, an important distinction here. So, what AIS actually is? So, it's an informational statement. It is not a tax bill, right? A lot of
Yeah.
entries on the AIS. These are just the record of transactions. These are not your income, right? But what actually matters is that you are able to explain what the transaction actually is. So our cardholder in PiePay's flow, right? they are basically a pass through, right? And our role here becomes to make sure that the story, right, that is well documented and airtight. What do I mean by that? That every transaction, with every transaction, PiePay generates a clear trail: the order, the matched buyer, the reimbursement, the settlement. All of these are keep a good trail of it, right? So that a card holder, so that they are easily able to reconcile every entry on their AIS with a order, real buyer funded order that they have paid for, right? So, but the only amount that is genuinely a car holder's income is the reward that they keep, and we make it transparent so that and clear, so that they are able to report it if needed. And every car holder can also pull up full PiePay ledger on demand and hand it over to their CA, and I think the CA will do the needful.
Sure. Thanks. That helps. Another question that I had was on the e-commerce relationships. Utkarsh, you're live across giants like Amazon and Flipkart, as you said. Uh, how do these platforms view PiePay, and how do you think about your own role, PiePay's role in their ecosystem?
All right, yes. See, the way we see it, right? What we ultimately drive is completed purchases. So there is a buyer, right? He wants to buy a product, but he does not hold the right card, right? So he would eventually, it may happen that he would eventually abandon the card, right? Or go somewhere else. But with PiePay, we make sure that they complete the purchase on the platform, right? So we drive incremental GMV for the e-commerce, increased conversion, and also happy customers. So by that measure, we are additive to the ecosystem, right? And also, like I said, right, the demand already existed, right? It lived across WhatsApp, Telegram, and the social media groups, right? What we are doing with PiePay is we are turning an unsafe informal behavior into a secure, auditable, and scalable platform, right? And we see ourselves as that layer, right, that organizes a real demand and turns it into brings it into a funnel where it can be seen by everyone, right? So a collaborative partner who wants to just grow the pie is how we see ourselves, and that is how we see ourselves building towards.
Interesting. uh, Going back to questions from the audience, there are lots coming in, and folks, please keep these questions coming in. Some very, very interesting questions that we've got so far. Utkarsh, how do you leverage these? Both these are on customer experience and behavior. The first one is, how do you leverage transaction data to improve customer experience?
So, all right. So the very first thing that I have already talked about, right? The data that we have, that matchmaking data that we have built the entire matchmaking model on top of it. So that is the very first use of our people's data, our users' data, right? In improving their experience. What happens with every single transactions? We like that compounds, right? It just improves the model that we have. So for every buyer, we are able to match them with a car holder quicker, with a and with a person with the who is most likely to execute the payment. That is one part, right? And right, and with the data that they give us, right? For example, when a card holder is onboarded on our platform, right, we give them a simple form that they can fill, right? From there we know, okay, what sort of card the card holder has, right? And let's say we also ask them for what kind of limit they have, right? So accordingly, because we have that sort of data, we are able to give them deals that would be best fit for them, right? And we also know user behavior, right? What sort of card holders like to do what kind of deals. There could be a deal with a small ticket size, and we know that, okay, this is the card holder who does not like to do small ticket size deals, and this is the card holder who likes to do deals of only higher ticket size. Let's say a car holder would do only 4 deals in a month, but those would be high ticket size. So when a deal of that kind happens, comes, we simply, our algorithm simply routes them to that particular cardholder. So that is how we improve their experience. And yeah, and on the buyer side, right? So we have the data key what people are actually buying, or what is a hot deal, right? We show them on our explore page itself, from where people can come and navigate. Okay, so these are the hot deals that are going on, and maybe I should take a look, right? And how much did so let's say there is a product, okay, that was purchased recently. We show them in the app on the explore page, so a user can come and see, okay, I mean, this is so. We also show them what was the e-commerce platform's price and how much the buyer saved, right? So we show them, and from there, that buyer, they can actually take a call, okay, if I should buy it, or if they were looking for it, right? So these are the hot deals, so it helps them as well.
Sure. Nice. And another question, have you implemented any predictive models for customer behavior?
Uh, Predictive models, so far we have not, right? So far we have not. But yes, as we are gathering huge amount of data, right, across platforms, we have plans, we have that in our roadmap to build a predictive model.
Okay. And here's a larger question on where do you see generative AI creating value in fintech?
Hmm. See, I think there are a lot of players, right, who are already tinkering with the abilities of generative AI, we can do, what they can do with fintech, right? And but our concern, right, is more on the modeling side of it, right? And I think that is the side I am well positioned to answer about, right?
Mm,
And as for generative AI, there are people building MCP, like doing a lot of things, right? They can assist you, they can tell you, okay, if you attach your let's say accounts or so, right, they would tell you, okay, what is the kind of investment that you can do and all things like that, right? But again, we are not doing that, so I wouldn't be the best person to answer that. But yeah,
sure.
modeling of it, definitely.
Okay. Then again, a few more questions specifically, for PiePay. How do
Mhm.
you ensure transaction reconciliation across multiple payment partners? And I guess the assumption here is, it's fairly complex. There are so many payment partners. So how do you manage reconciliation, across so many of them?
All right. So that's one of the reason we took longer to build, like when we built, right? And we have taken fair amount of, so we launched Flipkart in a, like, with just one category, one platform, one category, right? Because we put more of our time into making sure that the reconciliation happens, right? There is a daily reconciliation that we do, and also everything that we have it in our database, right? We run regular reconciliation scripts, and that's how we know that, okay, things are working fine. But yes, again, when we added Amazon, right, we took our fair share of time. We have launched Amazon only recently. We took 1.5 years or so to launch that, and the reason was that we are dealing with people's money, right? We cannot be complacent with anything.
True.
So yeah, I mean, before it actually any product actually ships, we take our time to make sure that everything works right and
Mm,
everything reconciles, right? Even if we build with AI, let's say, right? Currently in the age of AI, right, it is fairly easy to build. But again, that reconciliation is the part that we have, like, make that we take on ourselves, right? That we would do it diligently, we will take our time, and
yeah.
if needed, we'll do it manually as well. So there is that.
And you know, here's a question: have customers ever used PiePay in ways you never expected?
In ways. Okay. Let me think on that.
Which
Hmm.
probably surprised you and said, "Oh my God, I didn't think that people would be
Yes,
using it that way."
yes, it has happened. So yeah, on the cardholders front, it has happened on both fronts, on cardholders front as well. So there are some cardholders who would place, like, who would use very frequently, who would use our app very frequently. We did not expect it. They would be kind of, it may feel that they are doing it impulsively or so. So
Mhm.
there are times when we have to make sure, okay, we have to limit cardholders to from using the app. So like in such a manner, right? So what we want is to, you do not use anything excessively, right? That's our
Mm.
goal. So we did not expect car holders to just use it obsessively. So we have implemented limits that can limit them. On the buyer side as well, we have seen buyers who place orders very frequently on the app, right? There is an entire use case for them which we did not expect. So there is that.
Sure, sure. And there are a couple of questions seeking your advice, Karsh.
Hmm.
One is, what advice would you give startups building API first products?
API at first. To be very honest, I think I think my co-founder will be able to answer this better, right? Because they are the technical founders. I take care of the business, so I think it is fairer if they would answer this, and I won't be the best person to answer.
Absolutely. So the next one is for you. Did the business model evolve significantly after launch, or have you kept it, similar to what it was? Did you have to pivot or evolve in any way?
No, we did not see because we already validated that the problem existed, right? Because we already knew that people are, that behavior existed. We have only built a startup out of a behavior that already exists. That is the reason we have not had to pivot, right? What we originally started with, we are still building on the same.
Hmm. Okay. And during this period, while you're basically building on your foundation, as you said, how do you balance the user growth with sustainable revenue?
Hmm.
Making sure that this revenue is sustainable for the future. You're going to be profitable at the same time. You want to get more users. How do you balance the two?
Hmm. See, ours is a volume business, right? So we, our take rate is deliberately thin, and we keep it that way because, see, if you drive more and more volume, right, it would be better because it's a marketplace. I think marketplace are usually built that way only, right?
So,
Keep your take rate minimal but increase the volume, right? So on average order, right, on average order through PiePay, a total discount of 9% is availed, right? And we pass majority of it to our users. We keep a small percentage, and we also make affiliate commission on top of it, right? That usually, like, that is enough to sustain us. And again, like I said, we have plans to bring in more platforms. Like I said, we only have Flipkart, Amazon, and Shopsy currently, right? We have plans to integrate every other major e-commerce platform under all categories that you see, right? Be it, yes, be it Swiggy, be it Make My Trip, and all other Chroma and others, right? Zepto, everything. Wherever you can see card-based pricing, we have plans to integrate that on our platform. So when that happens, right, for every user, the purchase surfaces increases. So a user can transact, no, currently they can only transact on Flipkart, Amazon, and Shopsy. But
right.
when we have added those, our like they are more likely to purchase on multiple platforms. That would increase order frequency per user, right? And that would drive our CAC per order. That will decrease our CAC per order. From there, we will increase our contribution, and that is the
So,
plan that we have, right?
oh,
To, yes, to make money by people, like, to ensure that people transacts more, and from there we hope to make money. So that is that.
absolutely. And you've been through both, which is that you found a problem when you yourself were shopping,
Mhm.
and then of course you discovered a solution, and then decided to do this yourself, right?
Mhm.
So here's a question from the audience: which one is harder, finding the right problem or executing the solution?
Mhm.
You did both, so that's why I'm asking you this. It's very interesting.
No, no, no. Nice question. Nice question. I think it is very important. The one of the few things that I learned initially was that it is very important that you validate the problem first. It is very important because many a times founders they end up building a solution first and then they start looking for the problem to the solution that they have built. Right? It shouldn't not be that way. It should always be that you should be obsessed about the problem that you are solving. It's not that like, anybody can build the product, especially in the age of AI, right? Anybody can build the product. So take your time, maybe 3 months or 6 months into validating the problem that you are trying to solve. Make sure that problem actually exists, right? I mean, if you are into this for a longer haul, right? Let's say 5 years, 10 years, right? You can take 3 months to 6 months to validate the problem first. So that is very important. But again, like once you have validated the problem, it's not that it is just you who has validated the problem, right? There are people, there are others who also understand that problem or who may also know of that problem, right? And they can build as well. So if let's say there are two people building the same thing, the execution matters, right? So why limit at problem? Execute, like make sure that the problem actually exists, make sure your execution is flawless. Why not do both, right? When you can do, because there would be someone out there who would be doing the both and you are in a fight with that. So there is that.
I was going to ask a related question myself, which you sort of captured here, which is, Utkarsh, would you really worry about a major payment aggregator or a mature credit card reward platform or someone else who, from launching a similar, peer-to-peer card matching feature, and that might then impact your efforts?
Fair question to raise, right? See, I would actually say that reward platforms, right? They are more credible entrant than a payment aggregator. I'll tell you why, right? First, reward platforms, right? They already have car holders base, right? And they also have brand trust, right? But the thing is, having a car holder base may look like as a strong starting point or a strong head start, but it may not be so. Why? Because see, it's like so first let's think about what does a card holder on those reward platforms do, right? So they have added their cards, they would come back and check their reward point, they would track their reward points, right? And that is a passive behavior, right?
Sure.
What is needed here is a whole different behavior. The car holders, they are needed to transact, right? They are needed to execute the payment on behalf of others, right? So this is not the same as tracking your reward points, right? So it's an entirely different muscle that is needed. But yes, because they have the car holder base, right? So it would be like me having the numbers of drivers and thinking that I have built Uber, right? So Uber is more than just like a directory of car holders, right? It
Absolutely.
requires it requires the other side as well. So these platforms, these reward platforms, they also lack the other side, right? Which is the demand side. Buyer looking for discounts, right? So there is that, and on top of it they also, because they do not have the other side, they do not have the matchmaking model, right? Like I
Sure.
said, we have ourselves trained our matchmaking model on top of, let's say, more than 1 million odd matchmaking records, right? So that is the moat, right? That
Mm.
willingness to pay for others by car holders, that
Right.
behavior is the moat that we have, right?
Mm.
So and even if they do, like, see, uh, even if a big player comes in, right, we would actually welcome it. I'll tell you why. Because that would just validate that the problem is real enough for people to actually solve for it, right? And
Sure.
that's more confidence to the space that we are building in. So yeah, and lastly, I do think that like we have a good team, like, and we have been all in from day one. So come what may, there is that.
Sure. And I think we have time, Utkarsh, for one last question.
All right.
I think this is advice that someone's asking for. How can aspiring founders train themselves to notice problems that others ignore? And going by your own experience, where you noticed a problem and you found a solution yourself. But is there some way aspiring founders can train themselves to notice that?
Problems are everywhere. Everywhere, like from the waking hour that you from the moment that you wake up, count of list of things that you actually do, right? Think what are the things where you actually think could be made easier, right? I mean, there could be anything, from the moment you wake up till the time you sleep, right? The way, let's say, from not even from the moment you wake up, even before that, let's say you are not getting a sound sleep, right? That's a problem, and people are actually building to solve that, right? I think in few years down the line, you would see a lot of people trying to help you get better sleep, right? And then once you wake up, right, what are the things that you do? You commute to your office, right? So Uber has solved for it, right? But you can see that, okay, Uber has solved for it, but can I solve it in a better way? Let's say you are a woman, right? You don't feel that the ride that you take is safer enough, right? So there is a scope for them to solve for women's safety. I mean, likewise, there are literally, we are surrounded with problems. The solutions that we have built are few. So think it in that way, right? What are the your personal experiences? That is the best starting point to look for problems.
Perfect. Awesome. Utkarsh, I can't thank you enough. I think this was such an interesting sessions. I couldn't keep pace with the questions, and I thought I had a long list of questions myself.
But
Thank you ever so much for taking the time of Utkarsh and being on this session. On behalf of the CII Western Region Startup Subcommittee, a big thank you to you. Uh, to a big thank you to our audience as well for being attentive and firing away all those questions. And before I wrap up, I just want to remind our audience that we have Startup Buzz every Thursday 5 p.m. So just keep a lookout on social, and just land up and attend these sessions at 5 o'clock. They're very enlightening. Again, thank you very much, Utkarsh.
thanks so much, Ravi, for having me, and it was yeah, wonderful. And thanks to audience as well. Thank you so much, guys, for all the questions. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.